what do you think, when does happiness, like why do some people who are so happy can all of a sudden be so sad at times? Like how do you think that happiness can shift into something else?
Oh, that's a good question.
It is a good question.
I feel like me, for when I describe myself as a person, I say like I'm generally quite a happy person. At the same time, I have some seriously deep lows too.
Yeah.
Like really deep lows where I become really sad. And I feel like that's part of being human. That's part of being human for me, is that to have this high level of emotion where I can have these extreme levels of happiness, I also, on the other end, I have extreme lows of sadness. But for example, like for there to be one thing, there always is the opposite, the other, right?
For sure,
So for happiness to exist, there must be sadness. So for us to be happy as humans, like there's going to be sadness, and we're going to experience it. Yin and yang.
The yin
Good and
and yang.
evil, black and white.
Yeah,
for
but
sure.
I feel like most people, including myself, have this problem where we attach our happiness to something. And I've noticed that I've done it a lot quite recently, which hasn't had a very good effect. Because I was reading Yasmin Mujahid's book, Reclaim Your Heart. And it's all about how to find inner peace and happiness. And it was so, I felt so connected to the first few pages because it was as if she was talking to me.
Yeah.
Like, why do you attach your happiness to someone or something? Because once you attach it, then there's that expectation.
Sure.
And with expectations comes disappointment when it doesn't work out. So that happiness that you expect when you don't receive it, it's a big blow.
Oh, for sure.
Big blow.
Absolutely. And I think, subhanAllah, I think that's one of the things that I've learnt as well, that attachment within itself is an interesting thing, because we tend to have attachments to people quite naturally. But I think I was listening to a lecture once where they said to avoid yourself from feeling any that blow, attach yourself. The only logical thing is to attach yourself to something that is completely independent, because everything else, you got to kind of suss out the level of, I guess, whether something is dependent or independent. And I would say everything in this life is dependent on something. And the only thing that is independent of everything is Allah. So the best thing to attach yourself is to Allah, and you will never be disappointed.
Yeah.
Wow. It's given me goosebumps all over. Even like when Horush said, like when I was reading the first few pages, I felt like Sister Yasmin was speaking to me directly.
Yeah.
SubhanAllah, like I felt that for the entire book. Like the entire book, I was able to think back on my life and what I'm going through. And one of the most profound things is just what you just said there. And I don't know if you haven't finished it yet, have you?
I haven't.
Oh.
Don't give me spoilers.
I have to say this one little thing, okay, sorry. Is that she says that ache in your heart, that pain, that sort of emptiness in your heart. We spend our whole life in this dunya searching to fill that emptiness, fill it with happiness from what we can see around us, through the material, through the dependent, right? And he goes, that space was put there for a reason, and that can only be filled by one person, that's Allah. And that had the most profound impact on me, and it's exactly just what you said. It's independent, does not need anything. It's reliable, it's constant, and I had the most sort of overwhelming, calming, peaceful feeling when I read that. Alhamdulillah. And I still remember when I read it.
It's because as humans, we've come from, our souls have come from Jannah, the most perfect place, unimaginable. And when we're pulling this dunya, it's like we're searching for that perfect world that we came from, but we can't.
We're not going to find it.
Because it's not perfect. And we spend our whole lives trying to make this illusion that, yes, this is perfect for us, but it's not. It will never be. So that is why it's always best to just put your happiness to Allah. Because He is the one who takes care of your heart. And there was something I read where it goes, if you are struggling with anything, with a relationship, first fix your relationship with Allah. Because it is He who controls the heart of the person you're struggling with.
And that's, I think, subhanAllah, that rings so much to me, because I think previously the way that I saw it, subhanAllah, I don't know how I got to this type of thinking, but the way that I saw it was literally, if you just work on yourself, work on, let's say, for example, if there's some ill feeling that you're harboring, or just in your day-to-day life, you just keep track, stay tuned to your thoughts, what you're saying, and just try to fix it. SubhanAllah, the relationships around you tend to change. And I've honestly felt that it could have just been me. I honestly saw that within my family. SubhanAllah, I would say that we weren't where we are. Well, we weren't always where we were now, and it took a lot of work. And for that to happen, it didn't just come just like that, but it had to come from ourselves, and just trying to acknowledge that there's a problem, there's a problem, that there's actually a void that exists, and it's having to find how to fill it. But yeah, subhanAllah, I think it's just so amazing when Allah allows you to taste that freedom. I felt like I had something similar to you. So there's a point in my life where, I was feeling quite low, and just trying to figure out, well, why am I feeling this way? How can I make myself feel better? How do I feel peace? How do I find happiness, in a sense? Because I wasn't finding in the things that I was trying to pursue. Let's say, for example, a type of career that I wanted to kind of focus myself, my efforts into. But yeah, subhanAllah, and then I think it must have been one Ramadan where Allah just kind of allows you, it just feels like Allah's just putting everything at ease. Don't worry, I take care of everything. I take care of you. What makes you think that I won't take care of you for the rest of your life? Just so long as you submit yourself to me, and I'll take care of the rest. And I think that's just such a relieving feeling. It's like the burden that we have, it's off of our shoulders, because essentially we ourselves, we are nothing without Him. So I think it was just kind of like exploring the vulnerable side of me, which led me, subhanAllah, to that realization. And after realizing that, it's like I never
like a light bulb moment.
Yeah, it's like alhamdulillah, I know what it tastes and I want it. And you have a yearning for more.
I have a quick question. I'm curious to hear sort of both of sort of your personal experiences. Can you think of what's the longest period of time that you've had where you've just been so at ease, so at peace, so happy? And of course, like I said before, there's going to be sad times, right? But can you recollect that time and that sort of environment that you're in?
Good question.
I definitely can remember the last time I felt at ease.
And for how long as well?
I would say it would probably be the last trip I had as a family to Bali in Indonesia. It was like the 3 weeks trip, so it was a week in Bali and then 2 weeks in Jakarta, Indonesia. And it was just so fun. And it was like the last trip I remember as a family before my dad passed away. Ever since then, like I personally am struggling with trying to find that inner happiness because, again, attachment. Attachment, it comes back to that. So I feel like you need to do a lot of work on yourself because to fill that void in and to be able to give to people, you need to be full yourself.
Sure.
So yeah, that's the last time I remember. When was that your last time?
It's often when I have a lot of family around, I think, and I guess just quiet. When things are just pretty quiet, I get this time to kind of reflect and just. Honestly, I think it's every time I say Alhamdulillah, I take a stop. It could be in a day, it could be within the day, when I'm thinking, SubhanAllah, clock is ticking, go to work, get this done, all right. But then I think, Alhamdulillah, Salah has kind of put me in a position to kind of, I guess, exercise that reflection and just that ability to just say Alhamdulillah for everything, and just think about literally everything that we have in our life is blessing.
Of course.
And I think tuning into that emotion of thankfulness and gratitude, I think it's so powerful. And I think I've also come to realize that at times it actually saves me from picking fights with people or or answering back to someone or
excuse me, what did you say?
It's like, excuse me. No. But it really does kind of put me into place. It's like, all right, well, perhaps this may have been bad, but there's so many other reasons why I should be grateful.
Yeah.
And I think that just always constantly, because I think the state of your health is always up and down. The state of your iman is always up and down, and it's having to kind of figure out, well, what's something that'll always pull me back towards. Because the concept of happiness as well, sometimes I think it's a bit tricky because in really high states of happiness for me, I feel like the blow is even bigger. So I try to, when I do feel happy, I try to align that with gratitude and humility to make sure that I'm not too up, so that the next time that the low comes down, it doesn't fully wipe me off. I think so. It's just trying to find that balance.
SubhanAllah, the way you said that is exactly like the most happiest extended period of my life. Is exactly at the same time has been the biggest struggle, the hardest time, working. Emotionally, physically, spiritually too, just beginning my journey in Islam. But it's just been the most happiest time. And it's not that I'm emotionally really, really high, but I'm just, it's a different feeling. It's hard to explain, but it's exactly that.
Yeah, absolutely. SubhanAllah. I think it's, you know how often we say that when it comes to health, physical health, the spiritual health, and the mental health, they come hand in hand. But I feel, to be honest, it's the spiritual health that holds all of it together. You know, without spiritual, there's so many people that are super fit, SubhanAllah, who are super, they're very mentally fit as well, mashallah. But then again, there's at times people I get phone calls saying, I just feel so empty, I have a house, I have a beautiful house, I have a beautiful family, yet there's just something inside of me. And it's like, in my head, obviously I won't be able to say it. I'm restricted there. Yeah. But it's like, you need Allah.
You need Allah.
No, but it's SubhanAllah, it's just...
You just need to say Allahu Akbar on the phone.
Yeah. It's like, oh, okay.
That's your job gone.
No. It's hard. But what's been also, just on the side note though, when it comes to work, it just feels so amazing when I get Muslim clients, because I'm actually like, Assalamu alaikum, how are you?
Do you know that the first time? Do you just take that name or?
Usually I'm like, this seems
likely.
It's likely.
Yeah.
But then obviously I'm like, just out of curiosity, do you identify as Muslim?
Oh yeah.
And then they're like, yeah, I'm like, Assalamualaikum.
It's like my people.
Yeah, I'm like, please talk to me.
Is that awkward when you've done that? I've done that like
Have
before
you?
myself, yeah. I was very nervous
Oh,
when I
I
was like,
see.
are you Muslim? Because I had this worker at my house and he was working, I was the only one home,
Yeah.
and it was around Dhuhr time, and I was like, oh, I saw his name was some like typical Western white name, and I was
gotcha.
like, no, that's not your name. I was like, what's your name? And he goes, he told me his actual name.
Oh,
And I was
okay.
like, oh, maybe. It's like in the back of my head, I went back inside. I was like, do I ask him like, are you Muslim? I did. Alhamdulillah, he said yes, and I was like, would you like to pray with me? And he was like, bro, you Muslim too? I was like,
Yeah. Oh,
so I invited him inside my house and prayed Dhuhr with him, but I was so nervous. Oh my goodness.
Initially, it is really nervous, and I mean, it's very nerve-wracking, but eventually I get over it because I want to connect to a Muslim, please.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, alhamdulillah. Often I think the first time I did it and the response that I received kind of prompted me to
Confidence, yeah.
continue,
It was like a
continue
positive
doing it. Yeah,
response.
because I think especially with women who come into the center and then they see like, oh, I'm working with a Muslim. It's like, yes, you know, I can actually talk to you about some of the things
And be comfortable.
because some things, I guess, in a Western setting, it's quite hard to understand or connect with. Like even the terminologies and things like that. It's like, oh yeah, assalamualaikum, subhanallah, mashallah. I won't do that with like my colleagues, but yeah.
Even like first times, right? Like I remember like the first time I had to, well, I wanted to, and obviously like when I was researching into Islam, I found like it is your responsibility. It should be like a manner, a gesture to always greet someone with salams. Every Muslim who you see, whether you know them or you don't know them, they're your brother, your sister. And so I took it like really seriously. And like alhamdulillah, like that such raw instinct and feeling.
Mashallah.
So first time I saw someone, I was like, and I wasn't even here in Perth as well, so it just added the extra level of complexity because I could converse with them in English as well. But yeah, I greeted them salams, and it was just a little look.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time here in Perth, I did my first time here in Perth, I said like just my salams, and it was such a smile. Firstly it was a shock, right? And then it was a smile, and then it was salams back, and then that gave me sort of the confidence to keep doing it. But I remember it, like I still get it today. Like I'll walk down the street like from work, and there'll be a brother or sister walking past, and I give them salams, and they're like,
Oh, mashallah.
But getting back to our happiness topic,
Happiness.
Yeah.
for the viewers out there who might be struggling with their journey of trying to find happiness, what would your advice be?
I think, well, this is, I guess, advice to myself first and foremost, but find yourself first. I guess the goal is eventually to find Allah and find Islam, find your place within the religion, and try to fall in love with it. That's something I guess at times it's a bit hard to connect to that, but the first step would be to connect to yourself, figure out who you are, and get to know yourself, really. Find out what you like, find out what you dislike, try to figure out why. But yeah, get to know yourself before you get to know Allah.
Yeah, I think having the understanding that even if you're like in a really low down, sad time in your life, to understand that there will always, if there is sadness, there is happiness. And also understanding as well, like this is your journey. This has been put in place for you for a reason.
That's right.
That should give you strength every single day. And the biggest thing for me, and you don't always necessarily need to have seen this struggle, but to understand there's always someone going through a more difficult time than yourself. All the way up to even like poor people, people who are struggling to eat every day. If they can gain perspective that there is someone who's struggling even more than me, that has a profound impact on your day.
Yeah.
And everything which you said as well, like I strongly agree with.
And I also think like, when it comes to feeling low, I think it's also coming from an understanding that this is kind of reality.
Yeah.
We're gonna go through ups and downs, but it's how we respond to our downs which kind of make us, you know. And subhanallah, I think it just makes me think about this quote. I don't know whether it's a quote, but I heard it from somewhere where we wouldn't be able to establish light without darkness.
Yes.
Likewise, we wouldn't be able to establish or understand what happiness felt like without feeling sad.
Yeah.
Definitely agree with you. I think when you do realize that you're not your best or you're not feeling too happy, you have to, I think it really works well if you sit down and put thought to paper. Write down what's making you sad, and then write down all the things that make you happy, like all the blessings you have in your life to be grateful for, and to understand that whatever hardship comes on you is from Allah, like Matt said. And there will never be a burden too much for you to bear. And there's always a reason, because sometimes Allah puts you in hardship for you to remember Him.
Yep.
So you can turn back to Him. In it's like a blessing in itself.
So beautiful, isn't it? SubhanAllah.
Yeah, because you realize that you're in a situation when no one can help you except Him.
2 verses pop to my mind. With every hardship comes ease.
Yes.
And verily in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find rest.